Today's video is sponsored by Native Sons Goods, makers of premium quality guitar, bag, and camera straps, handmade in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Check out their website to order your own custom creation and play in style. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel, and I sure appreciate it.
Hey y'all, it's Shed Post Friday.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Oh, the pale forest. Oh, children of night. Who among you will run with the hunt? It's Shit Post Friday, and it's time to look at the news. First up in the news, I think Joe Satriani's been watching my videos because he is now embarking on what this article describes as a virtuoso's journey to find what happens next. If you read the article, either he went out this week and recorded an entire album after watching my video, or, you know, the less likely thing, which is, you know, he already had this thing in the can and it's just a big old coincidence, which I don't believe that at all. I think he watched my videos and recorded an album this week. And his PR firm is working overtime, and this is the result. They've got this article out that says, and he's talking about his new album. It hits the heart of what I have to admit is the strange artistic temperament to destroy what you build and start over again. You know, if you're not searching for new notes, or if you're not trying to take it to the next level, if you're not trying to even deconstruct or decompose yourself and forget things that you know, you're kind of missing the point of playing music to begin with. So interesting article. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but good on you, Joe. I had some really passionate reactions to that last video, man. A lot of you guys really love Joe Satriani, and I understand it. I think if somebody ragged on a guitar player that I really loved, you know, I might react the same way initially. But then when I came to my senses and I took my Midol and I sat down and, you know, wiped the blood from my panties, I think I would come back to it with a little bit different perspective and resubscribe to this channel because it's so fucking awesome you just can't stay away. Next up in the news, we've got a series of guitar sales and guitar sale related things. First up, Prince. Prince's Yellow Cloud guitar has sold for $225,000, which seems to me like a, you know, fairly good deal. This is an iconic sort of look. It's you know, it's 100% Prince. You hang this up on the wall in your restaurant and you're probably going to get a few visitors, and I'm sure eventually it would pay for itself. A couple 100,000 people come in just to take a selfie in front of this guitar, order a meal while they're there, and, you know, hey, pays for itself in advertising. But that price even pales to comparison with this sale price, which was the guitar played by Bob Dylan and Robbie Robertson.
When we went to Nashville and were recording the album Blonde on Blonde, it was the guitar that Bob was using on that record. But the tour of 1965, his Going Electric tour in '66, this was the guitar that Bob used. This instrument remembers that everywhere we played, people booed.
This was actually sold at the same auction as George Harrison's first electric guitar. And then this one was the most puzzling to me. This says Elvis Presley's guitar used in the film Girls, Girls, Girls to be auctioned. I've looked all through the Girls, Girls, Girls video and I didn't see Elvis in there at all. But no, all kidding aside, actually, this is a Martin 017 from the film Girls, 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 and it's from 1944. If I had a 017 from almost the same year, from 1941, and these are fantastic guitars. You can get them for pretty cheap compared to a lot of other Martins that are of this age. They sound phenomenal. This thing was so light. That's what I remember most about it, is just how light it was. It was lighter than this iPad. The whole guitar, but just amazing resonance. Cool guitars. I mean, this would not be the one to buy if you wanted a bargain, but very cool guitar. But unfortunately, Mick Mars never played this guitar, so that will hurt its value somewhat. And then this sad news. The inventor of fuzz guitar tone, Glenn Snoddy, has died. Snotty was a longtime Nashville studio engineer. He was 96 years old. And the story goes he was engineering a session for Marty Robbins in 1960, and he noticed the guitar player's sound was coming through distorted when usually it was not distorted. He thought there must be something wrong, and there was something wrong. The transformer on the amplifier was in the process of going out. His invention was the result of a malfunction, like so many good inventions.
While searching for a cure for migraine headaches, Hoffman accidentally ingests a minute amount of an experimental substance.
He creates an electronic device to recreate what he was hearing with this blowing up transformer, and Gibson later bought the rights and made it into its Maestro fuzz tone pedal. This was the same pedal that was used in 1965 by Keith Richards on I Can't Get No Satisfaction. So rest in peace, Mr. Snotty. Happy trails. And sadly, in even more Gibson news, as their bankruptcy proceedings are underway, they've reportedly put the Tower Records building on the Sunset Strip at risk by requesting they be able to void their current lease on the building. It wasn't all that long ago, Gibson announced they were going to be moving into this building, making it like a Gibson store where you could go in and experience, you know, everything Gibson. But apparently those plans have been swept by the wayside like so many of Mice and Men, of Mice and Henrys. And they obviously would no longer be doing that, and they're requesting that they drop the lease. And that's putting a strain on the owners of this building, and apparently there's some preservation issues with it now if Gibson's not going to be moving in. So, but anyway, I'll put a link to the article down below if you want to take a look at that. So that concludes this week's news. And now it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to get into one of the most important influences on my musical development in this installment of Influences. In around 1986, I guess it was, my parents could no longer live with each other, and they got a divorce in a very kind of loud and acrimonious way. I spent a lot of time over at my aunt's house during this whole period, and my older cousin Steve also lived there at the time, or he was there a lot. And I remember going riding around with him and a couple of his friends one night in his friend's old Carmen Ghia. He had restored this old thing, and he called it a Porsche, which I think it had a Porsche motor or whatever, but he, you know, it was obviously a Volkswagen product, but he called it his cheap Porsche. But I remember sitting in the back of this thing, a moment that I would come to remember for the rest of my life, at least so far. They put on this cassette, and the music begins to play, and you know, I begin studying the case of this cassette and looking at the artwork while listening to this music. And then and there, I was changed. I guess I was 9 years old. Something happened deep inside of me at that moment. I experienced metal for the first time. It wasn't just any metal. It was probably the epitome of all metal. Iron Maiden's Somewhere in Time. Just the artwork alone. I sat and stared at this artwork while listening to this music. And I don't think I stared at it immediately, but when we got back, you know, that we listened to it again, and I stared at this artwork just in awe and listening to the music and associating the music with the artwork. And I would look at this pyramid in the distance and want to fly away to that and escape the life that I was in at that moment, you know, in a way. Because, like I said, my parents were getting a divorce, and it was a very tumultuous moment in my life. And staring at this rear cover picture, and even this front one too, and just looking up at the sky, you know, with the moon hiding behind the clouds, just peeking out. I wanted to travel away. I wanted to fly away on the wings of this record, this amazing, magical, beautiful record that these guys from England had made. And I had never been, and still have never been, so awe-stricken by a guitar tone as I was when the solo of Wasted Years kicked in for the first time, and my little fragile eggshell mind was blown in the backseat of that Carmen Ghia that fateful night in 1986. I will never forget it. Thank you, Iron Maiden. Thank you for this beautiful record and all of your other beautiful records. Thanks for tuning in to Shitpost Friday. Face up, make your stand, and realize you're living in the golden years.